Jim Duke Radio Network. A rational voice in a world of conspiracy. Jim Duke Perspective.
So, Darren, what's up with all this infatuation lately in mainstream media about the aliens? I mean, I know we're going to talk about what happened in Mexico, but what's going? Several people alerted me saying that they seen on mainstream media the alert of attention towards aliens.
Yeah, there's actually supposedly that type of alien being that was actually in mainstream news there. I've seen on our local news too. It was discovered just recently. And,
well, it was discovered years ago, but brought to light recently. But what is that? What sparked this whole thing, where people start talking about it again?
I don't even think it was this. I think it was just actually like a combination of several events that kind of built up over the years. And
that's what I mean. How come all of a sudden? What happened?
Well, I remember back in even the 70s, they had these alien stuffed animals on the boardwalk.
Well, yeah. Back then, yeah. Remember when it was big and they had the grays and the greens and the...
Right. But it wasn't actually on mainstream news, though. Like, now they're actually talking like it's just a phenomenon that's in our right here reality. It's not in search of anymore with,
Or on David Icke. They're not talking about reptilians on David Icke. They're actually talking about possibility beings on the news.
Mm-hmm, exactly. Right. That was unheard of like 30 years ago.
I know.
They might have shown like a UFO, like some aerial phenomenon, but nothing like they are now with actual aliens.
But my wife had on the Inside Edition show, that entertainment show.
Mm-hmm. Right, yeah.
And Inside Edition, which is a typical mainstream entertainment show, I was like in passing heard something about aliens, and I thought I was watching In Search of or something. And I said to my wife, "What's this show?" She says, "This is that Inside Edition." I said, "They're talking about aliens."
Wow.
And what happened was this kid, Angel Kenmore, age 16, from Los Angeles, says he was outside working on a truck when he saw a mysterious bright fireball fall from the sky and he heard a noise. He then looked over in his backyard and saw two tall creatures. And he was paralyzed with fear. His father and his brother also saw them. And then it was revealed he called the police. They called the police. And the police rushed over to his on his call. And it was revealed that a police body cam prior to this also captured the mysterious fireball falling from the sky. And they commented on it before the family called 911 to report it. So the family claims that they called the police and they claim that they do not believe what they saw were human or from Earth. They said they were greenish-gray creatures standing nearly 10 foot tall, staring down at them for a moment with their big eyes, and each of them were asked by the news crew to draw a picture of what they saw. And every picture was identical to one another, and one drew it with a bent leg, and they asked him, what's up with this bent leg? He says, I don't know, it appeared to be bent, and the officer joked and said, if you see this again, don't call me.
I did read that article, yes. I've seen it in one of I think it was the Google web pages. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, this was on Inside Edition. Then the family claims that they saw 3 days later after the encounter, the government showed up with a vehicle outside of their home with 3 men dressed in black to investigate. Is this Men in Black? Is this like fictitious reality?
I've heard many stories that whenever you encounter some type of aerial phenomenon, aliens or anything like even the Nephilim giants, you'll pretty much get a visit by these men.
The Men in Black.
Absolutely. That's why you look at the Will Smith movie,
Yeah.
They always give us things, reality, but it seems so bizarre, but it's truth.
That is so strange.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
So this is up on that, and then in the previous moment, just around the same time, somebody alerted me of this incident in Mexico. So after we just reported the congressional claim, remember that we just reported the 3 military personnel that stated their experience trying to get Congress to disclose information to mainstream about UFOs and aliens,
Yes.
right? Now it comes out that Mexico has hosted the same thing with this gentleman that wanted his find to be reported in the Mexican Congress. And they found, believe it or not, these things, to me, when they showed the picture, they look like ETs. They look like ET, like the movie ET, not
Exactly.
extraterrestrial. They look like let me show you this real quick if I can. Probably going to take me too long. But anyway, the claim is that they have. Can you see my screen at all?
No, I can't see the screen. Nope.
No, that's because I don't have it up. Okay, so well, forget it. Anyway, this ET. Here, let me show it to you real quick. Here we go. Can you see it now?
I see you. Oh.
You don't see the screen?
Okay, there we go. Yes, I see it now.
All right. Yep. So this alien, it looks like ET. And if I'm not mistaken, it almost looks Asian.
You're right. It does.
How do you know they're not Asian? So are aliens Asian? So,
that's a good question. Wow. So right. It does look. The eyelids, the slits.
Yeah, it looks like Asian. So what happened is this journalist and ufologist, Jaime Maussan, he presented bodies he claimed to be 1,000-year-old fossilized remains of extraterrestrial individuals found in a Peruvian mine. He claims they were found in 2017 is when he found them, in Peru, near the pre-Columbian line. And at his office in the Mexico City business district of Santa Fe, staff members carefully carried these 2 closed boxes with glass lids containing the bodies where Reuters reported it. So Reuters picked up on this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Maussan, he spoke under oath at the San Lazaro Legislative Palace before the Mexican Congress, stating that he has these specimens. They're not part of terrestrial evolution. He says these beings, these aren't beings that are found in UFO wreckages. These are found in algae mines and were later fossilized. So he claims they're real. They're aliens that he discovered. So there's a couple controversies about his claim, but he wanted Congress to note it. They appeared about 2.5 feet, roughly human structure with 2 arms, 2 legs, but only 3 fingers and toes, and mid-length torso and head. And one of the bodies, I think during an ultrasound, they found to have eggs inside, making it a female.
Whoa.
Now watch, they're trying to claim that they'll clone it.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Now, here's where we get into skepticism. He claims that we tested these to verify that they were not of human remains. That they are not human. We tested these for unknown specimens. Here's the claim. David Spergel, former head of Princeton University's astrophysics department and chair of a NASA report into unidentified anomaly phenomenon, said that such samples should be made available for testing by the world's scientific community. Maussan stated he already had experts testing these beings and tried to share his results. He claimed that the body samples were tested and found that more than 30% of the specimen's DNA was unknown.
30%.
All right, 30%. So that means it's 70% human?
he would come
Nephilim?
to that conclusion. Yeah,
Maybe Nephilim? Are we going to go there?
that's a good question.
So,
At least we're open.
yeah. All right. So here's what happened. Listen to this. Reuters correspondent Cassandra Garrison personally went to speak to Maussan about his research. He admitted to her that the scientific analysis and data studies that he's presenting were actually done on an entirely different body of remains in Peru. And the two bodies he's presenting before them, claiming that these are the ones he tested in Mexico, has not been done scientific analysis. He said he didn't want to damage the specimens. So he already faked what he tested on. He did not test these two specimens. He tested another one that he claims he had. But his conclusions is that, well, they were found in the same place, so, and they have the same physical appearance, so they must be the same type of body in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And he stated it's most important that this is the most important thing that happened to humanity because it's an opportunity for us to evolve, to grow, for us maybe to initiate communication with other intelligences. And I think this phenomena is the only one that gives us the opportunity to come together. The public has the right to know about non-human technology and non-human entities. We're talking about a topic that unites humanity, not separates us. And whether they're aliens or not, we don't know now, but they were intelligent. They're intelligent and they lived with us, and we should rewrite history. We are not alone in this vast universe. We should embrace this reality. Well, what the heck does that mean? So he's claiming that, well, we didn't test the right specimens. I faked the testing. These things were found in Mexico or in Peru and presented in Mexico. But we gotta make these claims because we gotta unite us around these aliens. So he's biased. Mm-hmm. He wants aliens to be real. Then he added, what's that?
Yeah, he does.
Then he added, it would be arrogant for us to think we are alone, and suggested that there are other beings on other planets before humankind. All right, here's the problem that I get into with these claims. I love these claims, Darren. All right?
Okay.
When they say there has to be life on other planets. All right, why does there have to be life on other planets? Then they throw in the little subjection. We can't be arrogant to think we're alone. We can't be naive to think we're the only people in this universe. So that's your claim, that we're not the only ones in this universe, that we must not be the only ones in this universe, that we can't be closed-minded and arrogant to think that we are the only ones in this universe? That's your claim to say that that's proof that we can't? So you're using logic. Okay, let's play that game. Darren, we have Earth, right? Earth is inhabited by what? Lots of things, right? Mm-hmm. Life, right? Water,
absolutely.
Atmosphere, plants, cell forms, animals, right? And humans. And possibly Nephilim, right?
Absolutely. I believe they're probably still in existence today. There's circumstantial evidence.
That's on Earth, right? That's on Earth. Mm-hmm. All right. So there's planets out there, right?
Yes, planets.
All right.
Yep.
So because there's life here on this planet Earth that we live on, right? Mm-hmm. That they claim is a planet that we live on. There must be life on other planets because there's life here. And it would be arrogant to disbelieve that. Well, how's that proof? How's that logical? You can't prove there's life on other. Just because there's life on Earth doesn't mean there has to be life on Mars, right?
Exactly.
All right. This is the analogy that I often give. This is the illogical conclusion that's relative to this argument. Ready? A dog has 4 legs. True or false?
True.
All right. A donkey has 4 legs. True or false?
True.
Oh, okay. Then a dog must be a donkey. It has to be, right? Because they both have 4 legs, and it's basically they're both animals, right? That's logical, right? No, it's illogical. You can't prove it by just extending an argument and saying it must be. So that doesn't prove it. We're going to stop here for a second to take a brief network break. We'll be right back. Now, here's the debunking that happened. Despite the research and the testing that they claim, scientists and archaeologists in Peru called the findings of these bodies a farce, and many in the community have already debunked the finds. They asked, how did these bodies that you found in Peru end up in Mexico? Because he said he found them in Mexico. Then he said, well, they're in Peru. I originally found them. He couldn't answer it. He says, I cannot answer the question. When he was asked how they came in his possession, he said, I can't reveal that either. At the appropriate time, I will reveal it. So he can't even tell how he got these things.
Mm-hmm.
And the Peruvian culture minister, Leslie Ortega, has questioned how the specimens, which she says was prehistoric objects, left Peru, and says a criminal complaint should be filed or has been filed. And Maussan says, I'm not worried. I've done nothing illegal. Wait a minute. He brought these things to a Mexican Congress to get validation that he found these things in Mexico, revealed that he didn't find them in Mexico. Somebody showed it to him in Peru, and he brought them to Mexico, and that he did tests on them to prove that they were otherworldly, yet told Reuters that he didn't really do specimen tests on these 2 entities in question. He did them on another entity and just applied the test to these. That's totally based on fraud right there, right?
Absolutely. Phew.
So scientists recently studying the UFO specimens at the Autonomous National University of Mexico were able to extract DNA evidence from the specimens using radiocarbon dating. Maussan says, this is Maussan's claims, to get his information. This guy, Jose de Jesus, or Jesus, Zalci Benitez, director of Scientific Institute for Health of the Mexican Navy, also said X-rays, 3D reconstruction, and DNA analysis has been carried out on the remains. And he says, I can affirm that these bodies have no relation to human beings. And he says, based on the DNA tests, which would compare with more than 1 million species, they are not related to what is known or described up to this moment by science or human knowledge. Wait a minute, I thought these things weren't tested.
They want us to think so.
Juliet Ferrero, the scientist at Mexico's National Autonomous University Institute of Astronomy, reviewed Maussan's test results for Reuters, and she sees far less mystery in the data. She said the presence of carbon-14 in studies done by the National Autonomous University proves that the samples were related to brain and skin tissues from different mummies who died at different times. The proportion of the radioactive active carbon-14 isotope that is absorbed by living organisms into their tissue decays over time allows scientists to determine the approximate year of death of the specimens. On other planets, the amount of carbon-14 in the atmosphere would not necessarily be the same as on Earth. All in all, the results do not show anything mysterious that could indicate life compounds that do not exist on Earth, she said. So they haven't proved anything. Elsa
Exactly.
Elsa Tomasto Cagiago, a respected Peruvian bioanthropologist, is frustrated that such claims are still being given this much publicity, citing that similar alleged finds were also found to be frauds. There's no proof that these are aliens.
Exactly. Yeah.
And they say what we said before still stands, that they are presenting the same rehash as always. And if there are people that keep believing that, what can we do? She said over a phone call. She said it's so crass and so simple that there is nothing more to add. In other words, it's so stupid that I'm not even going to entertain it. And here we are entertaining it. But we're just bringing light to this find to show. Now, here's another problem with Maussan's testimony. He has been subject to controversy in the past. He's made other claims that remains he has found had been aliens, and they've been widely criticized. He participated in a 2017 TV documentary about remains he found near the same area. The images allegedly showed a crouched, mummified body of a humanoid figure with an elongated skull and 3 fingers on each hand and foot. However, experts have debunked these claims, finding they featured doctored mummies, later debunked as was shown to be corpses of human children. So he's basically fabricating mummies and doctoring what are human children. So these 2.5 foot entities he found, could they be children, Asian children or Peruvian children? I mean, they fit the criteria for that more than aliens.
They tell you a lot of stuff on that, all these missing children kidnapped by these.
Yeah, they ended up in this guy's basement. No. But anyways, what's going on here? Now, like I said on the forefront, mainstream media picked this up and a lot of places report it. Some places are debunking it. Other articles I saw are not debunking it. But, they haven't updated the information to the latest. They haven't reported on the router's claim that was admitted to her that he didn't really take samples from these things. And so it leaves a lot of skepticism. But and so there's people that aren't believing this. So I'm glad. But what was the hype of this? Why they brought it up like this? Are they trying to distract us, or is it something they're trying to hide us from? Are they trying to hide us from Biden? No, we always go to the political. But what else are they trying to hide us from? Are they trying to hide it? Are they trying to get us so sidetracked that we won't expect the next pandemic? That when it comes, it will be a surprise, and we'll just be so mesmerized by these cases of aliens. Are they trying to bring back the alien cases? Are they just trying to get it on the forefront? Remember the day the Earth stood still in those movies? How they had the radio shows of aliens and people thought they were real back then? They were testing the community to see how they would react. And were they getting them ready then? Now, here we are, Darren, decades later, several decades later, and nothing happened that made any significance out of aliens, besides some people claiming that they had seen alien sites, and we have the Close Encounters, and we have the Betty and Barney Hill cases, and we have Project Blue Book of the Air Force, and we have several people coming out, military experts, saying their experiences of seeing alien ships and aliens, and then said that, well, it's secondhand. I didn't really see them. I interviewed people that saw them. Why are they bringing this forth? Are they trying to stir up another possibility narrative for something? Every time they do this, people start to bring back the pre-tribulation rapture theory, and they start to remind us that They have to have explanation for it, and they're going to use aliens to explain this. That's what a lot of people go to. And then you start seeing the dates coming up. Have you seen this? You're not on social media like I am. I'm not on it as much as other people are, but I do have an account and I do watch it. The September 23rd date keeps coming up. How many years now has September 23rd came up for a heightened something happening, major event happening, like a rapture? How many years now have we been doing this?
Since I think it was 1988. They said there was 88 victims.
Yeah, and it keeps coming up September 23rd, September 20, every year. This is it, September 23rd. And what happens on September 24th of every year? Nothing.
Still here.
We're still here. So does that make those prophecies false? Yes, it does. Yeah. And the Bible says don't entertain false prophets. They stoned them in the Old Testament. They said the New Testament, you're to mark them, and you're not to regard any false prophets. So you mark them. You talk about them. You warn people about them. You don't let them come up in the next year and say, September 23rd, this year now. I got the year wrong. It was not last year. It's this year now. And they keep coming up with the same predictions. And they do it every year. And one year, something's going to happen. They're going to go, see, we told you. No, you told us in 2012 and 2013 and 2014. How come you're not bringing up September 24th on those dates when nothing happened? You're not. You're only bringing up a date, and you're hoping that one day it hits. Stop with these false prophecies. Now, something may happen. I'm not saying a rapture because I don't believe in the pre-tribulation rapture indoctrination theory. But, they could cause a scenario on that date for something to stir us. They could stage a fake alien invasion to try to get us to, the aliens want you to endorse the New World Order. Now, what they'll probably do is stage an alien attack and say we're under attack, and the only thing that can solve us is a New World Order. Either way, but I don't think they're going to go to that extreme, Darren. I think it's just a facade. I think it's just a big fantasy to distract us from the Bible, distract us from God, make us think there's otherworldly explanations that will debunk God, debunk the Bible, so that they can live in a hope of some fantasy that they haven't proven, but that people have something to believe in to distract them from Jesus Christ. That's what I think.
Yep.
And I think that aliens is a good fiction for people to attach to, because there's a lot of, I can't say evidence, but there is a lot of stories and legends based around it that give a lot of naive people who don't want to believe in God. They don't want to believe in the Bible that's been written, handed down, collaborated, substantiated, and claimed to be revelation of people throughout several generations in recording their experiences with God, of this creator, God, that has an answer for everything. They want to debunk that because they want to believe that there are green Martians, and that's a better story to believe. Why not believe it? It must be. We must have came from another planet and came from Enlil and I always forget the other guy's name, Enki and Enlil, the Sumerian demigods that created all of life from another planet. They love to believe that with no proof, except for this fraud Zechariah Sitchin, who claims to read the Sumerian cylinders, who doesn't know an iota of what they read, what they made up, and he just basically made them up and fabricated the story that a lot of people believe, and they link with other legends to. But my point is, they want to believe stuff that hasn't been substantiated, but they won't believe the claims in the Bible that have substantiated certain places and things and peoples and came up with a theory of life, a theory of origins, and a theory of reason of who created us and why. And they don't want to believe that because that's too far out there for them. Isn't that something?
Sure is.
But they'll believe God. They'll believe in aliens.
Mm-hmm. That's why NASA was discovered. I should say, that's where they established NASA. It was actually 3 years after they found the firmament. Yeah. So NASA is simply a psyop to hide the existence of our creation, our true creation, that we're not in some universe, but simply on a stationary plane that is encapsulated with a firmament spoken of in Genesis and the abundance of proof that it's existing. So that's why they don't want us to know the facts that we are created. We didn't come from some cosmic explosion like these liars want us to think, but we are here on a extended flat plane with a firmament over us, and there's no such thing as infinite outer space where aliens can fly to us. They're simply here on Earth, or they're in another dimension, perhaps.
Yeah, or they're
the heavenlies.
interdimensional. They're demonic entities, or well,
Exactly.
how they get a body? Well, first of all, we haven't
Shape-
had any bodies besides these fabrications, so there's nothing to speak on.
Right. Well, you look at the Watchers that they shapeshifted into earthly human form, mated with the women, the daughters of men. So they took on human bodies, so they can have the ability to transcend from the supernatural to the natural physically. So
yeah,
it's
they're not extraterrestrial. Besides, they're maybe heavenly. Maybe because they're extraterrestrial, because they're heavenly. They were messengers, and they came down. They defected and they mated with women. And but the thing is that's the only as close as aliens I could get to. Aliens or demons. There's information, books, and documentaries like that. But we'd rather, it's much more fun, mysterious to leap into the hands of aliens and come up with these fabricated corpses. And even if they're not real, to keep the hope alive that there are aliens from other planets that we can study and fantasize about and believe, because we don't want to believe that there is a God, I guess.
Exactly. It's simply to hide the existence of our Creator, whom we're accountable to. And you think about it, if there was UFOs coming from a distant source somewhere way out there, the amount of time it would take for them to fly from where they're at to here is, we're talking.
Oh yeah, it's an impossibility. Exactly.
Yeah, impossible.
Exactly.
Any faster, like I said, they would turn to energy, so it's impossible.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's just,
they'd have to be interdimensional spirits or something.
Yeah, right. And if it is physical, think of the word terrestrial, like I've said in our previous episode about terrestrial, celestial. I think we covered that. But terrain from, I believe, if there is an Antarctica that's like analogous to a pizza crust, there could be land beyond that. I don't know. I'm speculating, but then there you go. You have the terrain, the terrestrial, the extra from beyond, where our 7 continents that we're aware of. So
right. Well, that's all I have on that, Darren. Thanks for joining me. I want to remind folks out there to share this information. You can subscribe to it on any of your favorite apps. We're on them all. And we'll see you next time. God bless.